Okay, let's get straight into it. The big news, Bitcoin, May 8th, 2025, finally crossing the $100,000 barrier. A huge moment.
Absolutely huge. We're going to unpack how it happened, what drove it, and what people are thinking might come next.
Right. We'll cover the price action itself, the market context, the drivers, analysts' thoughts, technicals, risks, altcoins, the whole picture.
Sounds good. And if you find this breakdown useful, please do like and subscribe. It really helps us out.
Definitely. Okay, so the price itself, May 8th, was quite a day.
It really was. It started with a bit of teasing, didn't it? Dipped near $99,500.
Yeah, felt like it was testing the waters, but then it just powered through. Saw $101,075 around 3:22 p.m. UTC.
Exactly. And hit a high of $100,881.90. Even around 10 a.m. UTC, it was already trading over the market $100,250.
So sustained buying pressure throughout the day, it seemed.
It does. And you have to see this in context. The entire crypto market cap was pushing $3 trillion, up, 2.3%?
Right. And that Bitcoin dominance figure over 60%, that's a level we haven't seen since early 2021.
Yeah, that's really telling. It's just a lot of capital consolidated into Bitcoin during this move.
And the trading volume exploded. $45.7 billion in 24 hours.
A 62% increase. Just massive activity. So what was behind all this?
Well, seems like a confluence of things. Institutional interest is a big one, right?
Definitely. Those spot Bitcoin ETFs saw huge inflows. $1.8 billion in just the past week.
And that's on top of, what, $5.3 billion over the 3 weeks before that?
Correct. So serious institutional money coming in. Plus, you had the whales, the large holders.
Yes. The whale watchers always point this out. Their addresses increased significantly this year.
Suggest strategic buying. They weren't selling into the rally, they were accumulating.
Then you had some macro factors potentially playing a role too.
Like the hints of a potential US-UK trade deal from President Trump.
Yeah, that could have boosted general market sentiment. And fallen bond yields, a weaker dollar.
Classic conditions that often make assets like Bitcoin look more attractive, relatively speaking.
And it all happened while the broader markets were feeling positive too. Whisk on sentiment. S&P 500 hitting an all-time high.
It's all connected, isn't it? And don't forget corporate interests. MicroStrategy's still buying.
Always buying. And Mubadala, the sovereign wealth fund, getting into BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF.
Right. So it's this mix of institutional conviction, macro tailwinds, and continued corporate adoption. Seems like the big players are really betting on it.
Okay, so that's the setup. What are the analysts saying? Are they all calling for moonshots now?
Well, there's a range, as you'd expect. Charles Hoskinson from Cardano, for example, he's pretty bullish.
He often is. What's his take?
He pins it on regulatory progress and institutional flows, suggesting maybe even $250,000 this year.
$250K. Wow, that's ambitious. What's the condition?
Depends on clearer U.S. crypto laws and more big companies jumping in.
Okay, so quite conditional. Anyone more cautious?
Tracy Jin from MEXC is a bit more measured, thinking perhaps $150,000 by summer 2025.
Still a significant jump, but less than $250K. What's her thinking based on?
Contingent on new capital continuing to flow in, especially keeping that ETF interest strong.
Makes sense. What about Ben Caslin at VALR?
He highlighted something interesting, that this rally feels mainly institutional. Retail investors, maybe not fully participating yet.
So potentially more fuel for the fire if retail jumps back in.
Could be. He sees a possible move over $110,000 soon, and maybe a cycle top late this year, Q4 2025.
Right. And Standard Chartered, they've been pretty consistently bullish.
They have. Jeffrey Kendrick there revised their Q2 forecast up, now above $120,000.
Citing similar reasons, ETF flows, corporate demand.
Exactly. And Tony Trenchif from Nexo, he emphasized Bitcoin's resilience.
Like a safe haven asset.
Yeah, especially with market uncertainty, geopolitical stuff.
Yeah.
He mentioned the India-Pakistan tensions as background noise that might push people towards assets like Bitcoin.
Interesting mix of views, from very bullish to, well, still pretty bullish, but maybe more near-term focused.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Now let's look at the charts. What does the technical analysis tell us?
Well, obviously strong momentum got us here, but you have to watch the RSI, right?
Right. The relative strength index on shorter time frames was getting into overbought territory.
Suggesting maybe a pause or some profit taking could be coming.
Potentially, yes. And that $100,000 level itself, it's not just psychological.
No, it's a major technical resistance zone too. Expected heavy selling pressure there.
Which it seems to have absorbed, at least initially. If it holds above, where do we look next?
Analysts were pointing towards $105,000 to $107,000 as the next kind of hurdle.
And beyond that, maybe $110,000 plus?
Potentially. But what if it pulls back? Where's the support?
The key level seemed to be around $95,000. That's where buyers might step back in strongly.
And it's worth remembering that the 50-day moving moving average, down around $85,000, acted as really critical support not long ago.
True, that held firm. The daily RSI, though, was high, around 78. That's technically overbought, but sometimes momentum can carry things further.
Yeah, overbought can stay overbought in strong trends. And that 105K resistance lines up with some Fibonacci levels too, doesn't it?
It does, adding a bit more weight to that zone as a potential target or sticking point.
So technically strong, but maybe a little stretched in the short term. What about the risks then? A correction seems likely after such a run-up.
Absolutely. The risk of a pullback is definitely there. Monitoring that order book data around 99K, 100K is crucial.
To see if sellers are reloading or if buyers are defending.
Exactly. If $100 breaks convincingly with strong volume, then you start thinking of it as potential support.
And then those higher targets, like 107K or even 120K, 125K medium term, come into play.
That's the thinking. But we also need to keep an eye on the macro picture, upcoming U.S. data.
Right. Budget data on May 12th, CPI inflation on the 13th. Those could easily sway sentiment.
And any news on that U.S.-UK trade deal progress? All these external factors can impact whether the rally holds.
Definitely something to watch. Now, what about the rest of the crypto market? The altcoins. Did they get left behind with Bitcoin dominance rising?
Well, that dominance surge does suggest altcoins might underperform in the near term as capital focuses on Bitcoin. That's typical.
But we did see some green in the alt market too, didn't we?
We did. Ethereum, for instance, hit $3,800. That's up over 5%.
And Solana.
Solana gained a solid 9%. Dogecoin was up 11%, so not completely left out.
And Ethereum has that Pectra upgrade coming up aimed at improving scalability. That could be a catalyst down the line.
Potentially, yes. Elsewhere, XRP seemed resilient, holding above $2 with signs of whale accumulation there too.
Okay. And BNB chain?
Seeing growth, rising DeFi total value locked. Some long-term projections are pretty wild, like $2,775 by 2028. And VanEck proposing a BNB ETF in the US is interesting.
Shows broadening institutional interest beyond just Bitcoin and Ethereum. What about others like Solana, Doge, Cardano, technically?
Solana found support, looking like it could rally towards $180, $200 if it breaks $153 resistance. Doge is kind of clinging to moving averages. Needs to break $21 for a potential move to $725.28.
And Cardano.
Facing resistance around 75 cents. A break above that could open the door to $1.83.
Right.
So mixed picture, but some positive signs for alts too.
Right. So zooming out again, what are the broader implications of Bitcoin hitting $100K?
I think it really highlights how much Bitcoin is becoming integrated into traditional finance. You see it in the correlations.
Yeah, moving more in line sometimes with the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100.
Exactly. And look at the performance of crypto-related stocks like MicroStrategy or Coinbase.
Yeah.
They often amplify Bitcoin's moves.
So we should probably expect continued high volume, likely continued volatility.
I think that's almost certain. And heightened interest definitely from both institutions and eventually perhaps more retail investors.
It might also create more of those cross-market arbitrage opportunities, playing the difference between crypto prices and related equities.
Could well do. It just makes a whole space more dynamic and interconnected with traditional finance.
So to wrap things up, Bitcoin hitting $100,000 on May 8th wasn't just one thing. It was a mix of strong institutional buying via ETFs, whale accumulation.
Positive vibes from potential trade deals, supportive macro conditions like lower yields, strong technicals, and just general risk-on sentiment.
And the analysts. Generally optimistic, though some are more cautious than others, watching for pullbacks and keeping an eye on that incoming economic data.
That seems fair. It's a major milestone, but the path ahead likely won't be a straight lineup. We need to see how price reacts here and what the upcoming data brings.
Definitely. It really prompts you to think about how traditional economics and the unique crypto market dynamics are interacting now. What does $100 really mean for the long-term place of digital assets in finance?
That's the big question, isn't it? Is this validation a stepping stone or something else entirely? Lots to consider.
Indeed. Well, that covers our look at Bitcoin's big move. Thanks for tuning in.
And once again, if you enjoyed this discussion, please like and subscribe. We'll be back soon with more insights.